Hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Higher Ed Geek Podcast, episode number 6 with Megan Elvrum. Really fun conversation with somebody who I've followed online for quite a while, and we really get into kind of a deep dive about kind of creative endeavors and how they change and evolve over time, and just how Megan's been able to kind of share her personal story through her blog. So definitely go check her out and all the stuff we talk about in the show notes, as per usual. And after this quick word from our sponsor, this will be episode number 6 with Megan Elvrum. It's an honor to have our good friends at SwiftCake be a sponsor of the podcast, because I've seen their work firsthand, and it's truly unlike any student leadership training I've experienced. They've been voted Best Student Leadership Program unprecedented 5 times, so you know they must be doing something right. As a bonus for our listeners, SwiftCake is giving a $500 discount off their normal speaking fee if you mention Higher Ed Geek when you contact them. I highly recommend their trainings for your campus, as your students will be talking about it for months afterwards. It's really great stuff. Check them out, swiftcakehq.com, to learn more, and let them know I sent you. Now, back to the show. A lot more recently, since you're living in Denver now, to say I'm very envious of all the cool photos and things that you're doing there, because we have one of our offices in Denver, so I've started just to see I keep hearing and seeing things from just colleagues that work out there, people that visit and come back and talk about it and everything. But yeah, then I see you on the regular also posting about it. I'm just it just seems so cool out there. I've got to at least just visit just to see our other office and
visit.
Yeah.
Maybe wait until after winter's over, come during the summer, but yeah, it's really great here.
Yeah. Well, because it seems
and it's not just Denver too. You can go, I love living in the city, but there's also the mountains that you can go to that's an hour away if you wanted to go. So it's really versatile here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the impression I get about it is because I lived in Maine for 2 years, and I think climate,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, climate probably kind of similar, but also just you'll have so much natural beauty just right at your fingertips, or within a decent little trip away.
It is so amazing.
Yeah.
On Sunday, my boyfriend was like, "Come outside and look at the sunset," and the sunset, it looked like the sky was on fire. It was insane sunset. I totally Instagrammed that too.
Yeah. No, I think that was part. I think I saw that sunset many times, which is just another thing where it's just geez, man, it's just
yeah, it's insane. All I wanted to do was just stand out there and stare at it until it was gone. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I've ever seen anything like that since I moved here.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm curious. I mean, it's probably it's a detail. It's sort of a fold of your journey and your story, which we'll get to, but I guess how did you find Denver? Did you visit and you kind of fell in love with it, or just was there a certain pull that kind of drew you there?
Yeah, so I've been coming out here my whole life. My parents live in Colorado Springs, which is just an hour south of Denver, and then my best friend lives here in Denver and has a company here in Denver, and so December of 2015, I was like, hey, let me come out and see if I like it, try and make a little life change and live on my own for the first time. And so I came out and stayed with my best friend for the month of December, and she talked me into it. And I just so happened to meet my boyfriend maybe 3 or 4 days after I got here. And so that was kind of a new thing too. And then my is also here, but my best friend was just introducing me to her career and the Denver that she loves and all of her friends. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to give it a try. And then I got here in January of 2016, and literally the biggest snowstorm ever happened. And I was just like, why did I move here?
Yeah.
From Los Angeles. So it was a little bit of a weather shock for me that first year. I felt it was really snowy, but this last year, not too bad.
Yeah. Same thing happened in Maine when I moved up there. The awful snowstorm that hit the whole Northeast.
Even worse, probably.
Yeah. I mean, because it was the placement of where I was just happened to just really get walloped with snow, and I mean they know how to handle it there, so it wasn't hugely disruptive, but just in terms of just we're witnessing history. This is just a lot of snow, and Boston got a lot of it, and just there's nowhere to put it. But Yeah, I mean, and it just like with the like with Denver, I think yeah, it sounds like it's got enough of everything, and it's not too big, not too small, and just like the vibe. Like I can imagine it was just like a really great community just to kind of like reset and like kind of relax and just be able to like
Oh,
take it slow or take it as quick as you want to kind of thing, because I'm sure there's
mhm.
certainly people there that are like super involved in like kind of doing that, like he's like being the greater DC area, like people just always are talking about like just networking all the time, and that's just like the posh thing to do, and just always like going out for
Yeah.
happy hours and just like always kind of doing something. And it definitely has that kind of city vibe. I imagine like LA or New York kind of has that kind of always going, there's always something going on, and just like
Oh, for sure.
a
There
lot
is
of.
always something going on. I'm lucky I live in a really cool up and coming neighborhood that has all this street art and they're building new restaurants and bars and venues constantly. So really like a mile and a half away from this really cool area that I enjoy. Great food everywhere here in Denver too. And I'm just lucky I already had friends here, so I didn't have to
Mhm.
search for too many friends, but I have been introduced to a bunch of cool ladies here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like I said, it is a detail of your journey just that I'm personally interested
Hmm.
in. So, um, uh, but yeah, I mean, you obviously got to be there through a series of like decisions and stuff like that. So I'm just very curious to
Hmm.
hear kind of like who you are and what your professional journey has been. And like I said, I've been a fan of the Nerdy Girly for a couple of years now. So I'm very interested to hear kind of just
Oh, thanks.
yeah,
Oh.
like what that has been like in terms of like, because I think my impression, at least, I guess, is it's been kind of a creative pursuit that's always just been, right? It's been a part of your life for a while, and just like, yeah, I feel
Mhm.
like there's obviously like a lot that's gone into that for you personally. But yeah, I guess just the Cliff Notes version of kind of your professional journey. How did you get to be where you are today? And just, yeah, we'll get into obviously some other stuff, but yeah, just what has that journey been like for you?
Okay, so I feel like my life kind of started when I got a divorce, and I just finally felt like I realized who I was and who I wanted to be. And so I took that leap to move to Denver, to live on my own for the first time, to have my own career for the first time, full-time job for the first time, all the adulting struggles that there are. I learned it all. It was rough at first year or so, but I mean, I was really more happy now. And I actually wrote a blog post about this
Hmm.
yesterday about how I feel like I look back and I was happy, but I'm even more happy now, especially with what I'm doing and pushing myself mentally, physically, in my career, in my friendships, in my relationships. And I just feel like I'm a totally different person and I'm the person that I was supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. I guess I'll read that post and link to it. Like, um, yeah, like that idea that you can like, it could be a lot of, it could be a job, it could be, even just like a bad friendship or something, and especially like
Mhm.
a marriage or something like that, or a family member. But, um, yeah, feeling like you can exist and you can be happy, but you're always carrying
Mhm.
around this like, you know, this baggage that's going to weigh you down. If it's like you sort of are able to like take it off, it's like, oh wow, I can like move more freely and just be
Mhm.
you know yeah, even that much more kind of free to do what you want and happy and all that. So yeah, I think that's something that I respect about you a lot, is that yeah, just in the by the happenstance of it and the time that I've been sort of uh, kind of following your pursuits, a lot of that kind of personal exploration and growth has happened amidst
Mhm.
all the other kind of typical stuff that you do kind of in the geeky realm. So I guess yeah, like what has that journey been like for from the inception of kind of your geeky brand, and that's been something that's seen you through all these different things. So I guess like talk about that journey a
Oh
little bit,
yeah.
and what you enjoy most about it.
Yeah, so I started because I went to my very first San Diego Comic Con and I was like, wow, love this place, amazing. These are my people. And so I went home and I really wanted to explore more about Comic Con and find other people who had the same interests as me. I had just moved to San Diego, so it was a way for me to connect with other nerd girls in San Diego and just diving into that nerdy world. And then since then, it's evolved a lot, I think. I've moved away from the nerdy stuff. There's still stuff that I'm nerdy about, but I feel like my blog now is more therapeutic than nerdy, but I really appreciate people still sticking with me from the beginning and just giving me support and virtual high fives and hugs and comments and everything. And so I've grown as a person and I still like the nerdy stuff. I'm writing an article about psych because that's coming back in December, and I just wrote about my favorite Futurama episodes. Futurama is always going to be a huge part of me and my journey. And yeah, did that answer the question?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah, because I think
I just start rambling, and then where was I going?
no, yeah, because yeah, I think it kind of gets to like my next question of like what you geek out about and like what, have you been into it all, for a long time? But yeah, because I think for me even, yeah, it's similar at times where it's not, with the writing or different things that I do, like, because I guess it's also like like there's enough people doing like hot takes on whatever TV show or like like doing all that, so it's like okay, like that's fine, but yeah, like a lot of the writing I do now is like it is kind of just like life oriented with a geeky angle, like you said. It's like you geek out about certain TV shows and stuff like that, and that's always going to be part of who you are. Like there's interests that you have, but it's like that's not exclusively what you are, and it all kind of flows together of your who you are in your journey and like the decisions that you make and like the connections that you make and all those sort of things. So I think like you have like that outlet for it to be therapy, like that's what you enjoy most about it, like that's what it gives you even now, even though it's like something much different than like the inception of it was something totally different. So it's very, very interesting. So I think for some people who do any number of things, it's like if it was one thing and it changes from that, it feels like it's like a disservice to you're portraying like the original idea. But we grow and we learn and we evolve over time, so it's okay to be like, oh, I'm not into that thing anymore, or I don't want to write about that anymore, or like that's okay, because like you've been through so much, and for anything that anybody writes about, it's like writing about it makes you think about it in a different way, and also like because you could even just journal for yourself, but then like writing for someone else to read it, you have to like capture your feelings and thoughts in a way that like makes sense to other people, so like I know for me, like it helps me so much just to,
I definitely try and make it a little relatable. I hope that it's relatable to other people, and I hope that putting myself out there and kind of using it as therapy can also help me connect with other people as well.
Yeah. So yeah, and I mean, and I think it's also like in the idea of like sort of the spirit of this is like I hope that when I ask people, sort of leading to my next question, like what do you geek out about currently, it doesn't just have to be video games, comic books, TV shows, movies, and all that. Like there's so much that we can just be enthusiastic about that can have positive contributions to our life. So you kind of, I think, getting more into that of just like, this is my life and these are the things that I'm like doing, and
my life is what I'm excited about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you want to like talk more about that, like, because I think you're just really pursuing your own personal growth. So I guess like talk through like that journey and what positive contributions it's giving you, kind of just like geeking out about your own life.
Yeah, I am geeking out about my own life, but I'm also geeking out about Futurama is back on Hulu, and I've literally been marathoning that since it came back on a couple days ago, and it's just giving me all the feels because I've watched it basically since its inception, and so I feel like that's kind of been like a little security blanket for me, and they're like my friends in a way, and I was like, I miss my friends, and now my friends are back. And so and then I just been focusing a lot on my own blog photography and trying to work with brands and honing my photography skills and trying to make my blog just look a little bit more professional. So I'm really excited about doing that, and even just sharing like things that I find. Like I have this clutch subscription. My clutch just came in, so I'm super excited about that. And I took a couple pictures of that, and I'm planning out how I want to incorporate that into pictures and the blog posts that I'm writing. The clutch is like a little sprinkled clutch, and so I want to write about celebrating life daily because I know we all kind of get down on ourselves. I know Monday I was feeling a little bit wah about my life. And so like, shut up, write this post. These are the things that you're excited about. So just live your life and be excited about your life. And so I'm really trying to focus on that. And then I got back into running, and I just did my very first 5K, and I signed up for my second 5K. So I'm really excited about pushing myself physically for that and trying to improve on my next one. So yeah, it's more life stuff that I'm really geeking out about, because I feel like before I was kind of escaping into the things that I was geeking out about before, like music and TV, and that was kind of like an escape for me. And so now I'm like, I really am happy with my life, and so that's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, and I think it's weird, like, yeah, where I'm at right now is that, like, because I think there's certainly, like, we are awash in so much content, and I think it's far surpassed peak TV at this point. So like there's like so much stuff coming out, and there's like good stuff everywhere, but it's like no single human being can or should really, I guess, maybe they can, but maybe they shouldn't watch all of it. But yeah, like retreating, maybe not retreating is it's not the best word, but like, because I think I like how you framed it of like reconnecting with an old friend sort of thing, of that, like I lately I'm just like rewatching old shows that are just like now, modern classics, or just really quality television, where like
Me too.
Yeah, like I just don't feel like I want to commit to a new show. I don't know, like, I'll wait for like the first season to like get over, and I'll be like, let's see how it goes.
Oh my gosh,
like,
right? Thank God for Netflix and putting up their whole season at one time, so you don't have to wait. Because I found Breaking Bad on Netflix when it was going into the end of its last season, and so luckily I could just blow through everything and then not have to wait.
Yeah,
so that's really nice.
Waiting like week to week can certainly impact the enjoyment of a show. But yeah, it's just like, it's an interesting thing that lately I'm just like I just want the comfort of like familiar shows, like characters that I really connect with, and those sort of things, more so than getting new stories. Because like sometimes it's just like, you made a new TV show, but it's like nothing new, it's nothing original, and there's certain things out there that are really fresh and really unique, and just like genuinely someone's creative vision, versus just like this content factory of just trying to make another procedural cop drama or something. And I'm like, I'm all set on those, but like, because like something like Master of None on Netflix is like very much Aziz Ansari's like unique vision, like that's his thing, and he is doing what he wants, and there'll maybe be another season, but not right away. And it's like, that's great. Yeah, like he should make more of it when he feels like it.
That is so on my list. I really want to watch that. My friends only have great things to say about that. Everybody says it's amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, like that for me is a very good example because a lot of people have seen it, a lot of people enjoy it. Like it's just a very well done vision of a person. It's not like made by committee, and like there's not been studio notes to the umpteenth degree, where it's just like, it's not even a thing that the person who like thought of the idea, it's so far removed from it. So it's like, it's cool just seeing something that feels very pure and fresh and original. And then like, so like those are the things, if it's a new show, that I'll pursue. But then otherwise it's like, just the comfort of things. So it's an interesting way, because I think there's that idea of like the things that you geek out about that you've been into for a long time, or if something's on and ongoing. The example for me that I think of, and it seems like the internet as the collective is sort of like over like Walking Dead. Like that's just going to probably be on for perpetuity, and it's like,
oh my gosh, I'm caught up, but I don't have cable, so I can't see the new stuff that's happening. But I mean, the season premiere with Negan and all that was like, oh my God, it kind of like scarred me a little bit, and I was traumatized after I watched that. But then it just gets into like, okay, all right, back to the zombies, and now instead of fighting zombies, we're fighting Negan. So I mean, I'm still watching it. I'm hanging in there a little bit.
Yeah,
But
because I think there's like almost like
it
different
wasn't what
tiers.
it was in the beginning.
Yeah, like there's different tiers of like I'm keeping up with it, but I'm not rushing to see the episodes live on air week to week, and then like
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
because I think I don't know if it's something that you wrote. I feel like I've seen it somewhere in the recent past about like breaking up with TV shows that you were into, like, because we get like emotionally invested, and
I mean,
like,
really hard to break up with The Walking Dead. I'm holding on. I'm holding on.
Like they would have to do something, like something awful or something. But like, the idea that like there's like sunken cost theory with a TV show and stuff like that, because I think that is a very small sort of spiritual sibling to the far more, like the journey that you've been on of just like, some people will stay in a thing that it's like, well, like it's enjoyable enough, but it's not really like giving me everything that I'm looking for. It's like, we can make those decisions every day in our life with like, small things. And it's important to kind of be cognizant of that, even on a larger level, of just like not sticking around in something just because you've been doing it for a while. Because like,
you're smart. I like that.
I appreciate that. So I respect you for like on a very large scale doing something like that, and I think there's certainly an applicable lesson there. Like I said, even for just like spending an hour of my week every week on this show, and I don't even enjoy it anymore. It's just like break up with it. It's okay. Like you don't have to like you don't have to.
It's true.
Do it,
It's totally okay.
Yeah,
if you can do it in real life, you can do it in pop culture life.
Yeah. So. Yeah, very interesting stuff. Yeah, we're kind of getting into deep dive with,
really deep here,
emotional, spiritual connections with geeky stuff. But so yeah, I find it really interesting that you're focusing a lot of your energy on your own life. So in that you're revisiting like old shows and just doing things for your own wellness and kind of broadening your horizons. Like, is there anything kind of within that you're like, are you doing a lot more reading of like books that are helpful? Are you, listening to podcasts or doing anything like that? Any other kind of resources that have been beneficial for you in this journey that you are on?
I've been listening since Election Day happened. I've been listening to NPR every single day, and now I'm like really addicted to that. And now I don't even have to know what they're talking about. I just like certain people's voices and find that really soothing during my day and my driving. And then on the way home today, like I do a lot of work with children. And so I have to be loud and like out there and crazy. And so I'll listen to the classical music on the way home. And that just helps me zen out a little bit. And NPR has a bunch of different podcasts that I listen to. How I Built This, I find really inspirational. They talk to creators of like brands. Like I listen to Southwest Airlines or Kate Spade or the Dry Bar, how they developed all of that and got it to where it's at. So I find that really inspirational in my life and my career. And yeah, now I'm like really want to be caught up with the news and what's going on in the world, and I really care about that. So just bringing that into my life now has been really positive.
Yeah, because I
even if it's not always positive news.
No, I mean and that's the idea.
I just think, like knowing what's happening now.
Right.
I'm like, oh, okay, that's a little scary.
Yeah, because I think there were like, and certainly there was privileged people who didn't have to be aware of what was going on because it wasn't necessarily impacting them. And I think that certainly may still be the case. But especially now, that's where like, if you kind of get all like, for a geeky reference, to kind of get like wibbly wobbly with it in terms of like how you're going to twist and turn to get to it, where it's like, you know what, if we're in this like just weird kind of moment, and the positive result of it is people being way more informed and connected and
outspoken.
active. Yeah, and outspoken. Like, because I think there's this is me purely, pure conjecture here, but things have been relatively good since like, late 80s into the 90s. We were kind of just like, as a country, I think like coasting, and like people could just, I don't know, just kind of exist, and he just didn't need to be as like engaged or as active, in in politics, locally and state level and, nationally and everything. But it's like now there's so many things that are just like chaotic and you don't know what's going to happen. And it like really impacts a lot of people. So now it's like by necessity, people are feeling like they need to be connected. So yeah, like that's exactly what I've been doing more so now, to where like last time I feel like I was anywhere close to being as engaged as I am now was like the 2008 election.
I've never listened to the news. Like you said, I feel like it's a necessity now. I have to know what's happening.
Yeah, because like 2008 was the first presidential election I could vote in, so I just was like really excited and engaged in that moment. But then I sort of just was like monitoring, and now it's like we're in a very very different moment. But I have the NPR One app on my phone. Like that's how I listen to it.
Yeah, they always talk about it. I listen to the morning one first, and they're like, download the NPR One app. I'm like, I probably should do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great tool, especially like I think for people who may not drive in a car for their commute, if you're, if you have your phone with you, you can stream the, hourly broadcast, like the newscast, and then all their stories that they do, and then they'll integrate like podcast into it as well. So I feel like because like podcasts come up a lot because I like podcasts. We're on a podcast, very meta. But yeah, like I always, I can't speak well enough of like NPR One because it's just such an easy way to help consume, all the great content that is coming out of your local public radio station.
All right, I'm going to download that because I listen to CPR, which is Colorado Public Radio, in my car while I'm driving. But I also have just like NPR, just podcasts that I listen to. But if I get the One app, then I can listen to even more of the more national news, which I like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you set like your local station, so they integrate those stories, but then they do all the national stuff as well. So. Yeah, it's good stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's like,
I feel so nerdy. I feel like actually nerdy.
Right. Yeah.
I love it so much. I'm super addicted to it.
Yeah. I guess that's the designation of like, geek, nerd, dork, whatever. It's just like, like, I don't know, if this feels nerdy, and then like when TV shows I kind of feel geeky about. But yeah, I mean, that's good stuff. And I think, I feel, and because for me, I try to keep a healthy diet of podcasts, and then like try to read at least like one good book a month of just like kind of.
I'm trying so hard with the reading, but I get sleepy because I'll do it at the end of the day, and I'll be like one page and I'm done. Yep,
that's my problem too. Or I just get like kind of like distracted or something. So it's like try to read at least one chapter, most nights. But that's kind of because I just did it.
Yeah, I definitely need to be better about that. I just got obsessed with Stephen King, and because I heard it on an NPR podcast, they were talking about don't go see the Tower, Tower movie that came out. They're like, don't go see that, read or watch all these other things. And they mentioned one book, one of his novellas in particular. And no, I'm blanking on the name, but I have my book right here. And it's called The Long Walk. And I read that super quick. I read that in like 5 days. And that was really one of the fastest things I read. And so then that's when he was writing as Stephen Bachman, if I'm saying that correctly. Is it Stephen Bachman? Yeah. So and then now I have this collection of his Bachman novellas. And so these are really great. And I think it's a great introduction to Stephen King because they're short. So I'm trying to read the second one called The Running Man right now.
Yeah.
But these are great. So that's what I'm really nerding out on now because I went and saw it too. I'm not a big horror fan. I'm interested in it, but I'm also very terrified by it. And so my boyfriend took me to go see it, and I was so scared. I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna have to sleep with the lights on for like a couple days after this movie. But it was a really good story, and I didn't feel like it was actually horrifying. I just thought it was a really great story, so I wasn't scared. I was good. So now we rented Stand By Me, watched Stand By Me. That was a really good story. So now I'm super obsessed with him.
Yeah. I think it's just wild. Like he's such a prolific writer. Like there's so many things that are just like, oh yeah, that was Stephen King. Yeah, that's Stephen King too. Yeah, that's him too. And
right.
It's like, oh,
and then Netflix just showed me something the other day. Oh, we have a new movie and it's by Stephen King. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's everywhere now. I mean, I'm sure he was everywhere before. I'm just now noticing.
Yeah.
But he's been around forever.
Yeah, he's been around forever, and I think the stories that he writes, for whatever reason, just seem to be ripe for television and movie adaptations, and like it's it's like, all right, well, it's like whatever format you want, you can like because
I would love them to make this one I just read
then,
into a movie. My gosh, it's amazing.
Cool. Well, I mean, and you alluded to like with your running, you have I think some races coming up, so ending on a positive note, you're doing a lot, improving your life and doing all those sort of things. What are things that you're looking forward to in your job, in your life, in the world, things that you're just looking forward to, whether it's, next month, months from now, next year, anything that's just coming up that you are excited about?
I'm really excited about doing some traveling next year. My best friend is getting married in Florence, Italy. And so I've just Excel spreadsheeted my whole itinerary for that, which is in June of next year. But I'm like a really big OCD planner. So we are going to fly into Paris and be in Paris for a couple days, and then take a train to Florence, be in Florence for the wedding. And then I wanted to go to Pisa because that's really close to Florence. It's about an hour away. And then fly out of Milan because that's the cheapest Italian airport to fly out of that I found. And on the way home, the Milan flight has a layover for 18 hours in Iceland. And so I'm really stoked on that too. I'm not totally set on Pisa. I've had people be like, oh, you should go to Venice, or you should go to this little town or whatever. So, I mean, that's all maneuverable. I don't really care. I'm just excited to be in Italy and eat all of the food and drink all of the wine. And so I'm really excited about that trip. I'm really focused on that, even though it's not until June, but hopefully doing a little bit more Colorado exploring. And then I really want to go to San Diego and visit my brother. And then also I think we're going to go to Florida for Christmas too. So I'm just really excited to get out and explore my world.
Yeah, that's all good stuff. And and it's good, like, kind of maximizing the trip. Like if you're going to go out, for a wedding in Europe, it's like, like plan it out, make sure you're like making the most of the time.
For sure. And depending on my money situation at that time, we can extend it a little bit. I mean, I have a lot of time to save up for it. And so I'm just purchasing a little bit here and there. So I'm hoping maybe we can extend it a little bit once we get closer. We'll see how it goes. Well, but the more time I can spend in Italy, the better.
That's like good on you for, like thinking ahead, because it's like you can, do, save, like budget and like kind of plan for that versus like being like, oh, that's how much that costs to like, and
I'm like, I know it's going to be expensive, so I have a ballpark range of how much I need to save and buy every paycheck.
Well, that sounds great, and it's all good stuff coming up there, and we'll link out as we always do here to all the stuff that we mentioned. But it was really great talking to you again. It's just funny for me because I've just been a fan of yours for a while, and just really appreciate the opportunity to kind of get to know you a little bit better and kind of hear your story, and look forward to seeing what's next for you and everything that you share from cool stuff in Denver and all the trips and whatnot. But
and let me know if you guys come out and visit. And then we can meet in real life.
Hey, I'm all about that. So, 'cause I think there's so many people.
Well, your job, you need a Denver trip. You're like, there's something they need me for in Denver, I'm sure.
There's so many people that I've like connected with online, and like slowly but surely I'll like meet them in person. So, I definitely am. It's kind of on the docket. Just have to kind of nail down a date, and it would probably make sense. To like think ahead for the summer or something. So, cool.
Denver Comic-Con.
Hey, all right. That's a good reason as any. Great. Well, again, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you sharing all that you did, and thank
you for having me. It was so great to talk to you. I'm such a people person, and At the end of the day, I'm usually kind of like, meh. But whenever I get to talk to somebody new, it's always invigorating for me.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And yeah, I'll let you know when the episode goes out and everything. But
yes, of course, I'm excited. I
think...
usually don't like to listen to it again, but I will tell everybody else to listen to it because I don't want to listen to my voice.
No, trust me, you did great. Everything's good.
You have a nice radio voice. I have this like shrill.
No.
Don't listen to this. You're gonna go back in the beginning. Don't listen to this podcast too loud because Megan gets really excited.
Yeah. Well, no, and I think that, yeah, because I'll listen to things at like 1.5 speed. So like sometimes, and then like when I'll listen to it at normal speed, I'm like, wow, their voice sounds so weird. It's like, oh, it's because I always listen to everything at like 1.5 speed. So I'm sure like I probably sound weird at like, you know, if people listen to podcasts really quickly, because it's like for me, like I only have so much time to.
Do you listen to it faster?
I listen to
I
it
didn't
at
know you could even do that.
Yep. Yeah, I listen to most podcasts at like 1.5 speed. So.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
new trick.
Yep. So yeah, if you're crunched on time and you have a lot of podcasts you want to listen to, do it 1.5 speed.
Yeah, I am sometimes. Like when you're driving and you're like, oh, I only have this amount of time to listen to it.
All right. Pro tip. Yep.
That's smart.
Yeah. Yeah. A friend of that I worked with years ago kind of turned me on to that, and never looked back. So.
I love it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah. Just have a good rest of your night, and yeah, I'll probably talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Dustin. It was nice to talk to you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode of the Higher Ed Geek podcast.